A lot faster in English anyway. Now, the good news is integral economics is very, very well established in the Anglophone American community, the worldwide community. And it's what I'd like to remind you is that the idea of économiste started in France about the 16th, 17th century. And it was first put together, the whole science of economics was put together to handle the taxes and to make sure that the various kings of England and France could pay their armies to go out and fight wars and to have missions throughout the world of discovery. So while feeding enough of their people at home so that they didn't have too many complaints and uprisings. So the idea of economics has always been a kind of a political thing. It was an idea of how to deal with the power of a nation to serve the people and also the desires of the country. So now Thomas Friedman has recently mentioned that the world economy seems to have been organized in the last 30 years like a giant Ponzi scheme, in that there wasn't anything behind all the investments. And Glenn Parkett, who works for Sustainable Development, mentioned that the problem is with trying to work in this economy to sustain the world. The problem is Mother Nature doesn't do bailouts. Mother Nature will not give us trillions of dollars to take care of our mistakes with the world. Now, you might remember the Club of Budapest was founded because Erwin Laszlo didn't find enough humanitarianism in the Club of Rome, and it was originally part of the Club of Rome. You remember that? 1972, they published a report called The Limits of Growth. 30 years ago, they predicted what was happening today. So the Club of Budapest, and now Université Intégrale, has a great tradition of being able to predict the future. Now, one of the things I noticed about today is that has this been a descriptive day or a integral day in terms of what actions can we take? Because one of the things I found out on the net, and all you have to do is Google integral economics, and you will find thousands of pages about the various people that are working on it. Now, because the whole point of this is not just to talk about it, but to find out what are the actions that can cause some changes and some transformation in the world. This week, the world, America especially, was shocked with Barack Obama. Because what he did was, he fulfilled his election promises. He said he was going to spend some money, and he did. He said he was going to make stem cell research available again, and he did. He keeps fulfilling his promises. That's a good place to start in talking about the world economy. Now, when you're talking about economics, it's not like you're doing physics. In physics, you can predict where a molecule is going to be, and the molecule will stay there, it won't change, you can describe it. But as soon as you start talking about economics, you influence what happens. When you talk about economics, the economy talks back. Whatever you say about it will affect the system. Sort of like physics on a quantum level, I guess. But what you're doing, anytime we say something, we're going to have a different response. So, if you want some background, what I recommend you to do, in everything that I've seen, is to take a look at Baseline Scenario Com. This does the systematic putting together relié that you might want to have for the background. There's about 64 different papers on this site, which describes how are the systemic origins and the systemic possibilities for getting out of this. So a lot of this has already been done. This is how we got into the crisis of the global economy and what we can do about it. So take a look at it. Now, I said a lot of people had already started with this. There are institutes that have existed since 2000 on integral economics. And in this time of multifaceted crisis, we need catalytic reforms while halting the wanton destruction of living systems, the systems we need to live. This is Donna Morton. She was one of the founding people of the Integral Institute. Met her, she's a great person. She's got a site, and it's mostly about sustainable development. It's putting together all the kinds of things that companies can do. So this is a good place to start. Now, another place to start would be the work of Christian Arnsperger. Now, he's been working in the University of Louvain in Belgium, so is real serious European doctorate type. So you can probably depend on him. And this is something we talked about this morning, about how so few of the top of the pyramid own so much of the wealth of the planet. One of the things that's been noticed about what you could do in the world is that if everybody on the planet put 15% of what they earned into the global economy, that would end the poor. It would end poverty. It would end famine. It takes actually very little for every individual, especially for those people at the top. If they took 15% and put it into some kind of an organization that could deliver it to the famished and the poor, it could be solved. Now, the thing that's interesting about Christian is that in 2007, he predicted the catastrophe that we're facing this year. And he also gave a manifesto for what we could do about it. So I said a lot of this has been done already. People have been thinking about integral approaches for healing the economy and creating different economies for a long time. Now, this will be on the website, it'll be on the blog, so you don't have to write everything down, but I just selected a few books that are kind of interesting. Of course, Christian's book, but some other books that are about different ways to look at the economy, not only in terms of the origins of wealth, the Adam Smith, the types of classical ways to approach thinking about the economy, but also the soulful science. There's lots of other books here that are about what are the human, philosophical, spiritual aspects of changing the economy, because you can't do one without the other and still call it integral. So this will be on the website, and especially, back one. Now, Fred Kaufman, he's a brilliant guy. He does incredible spiritual seminars on leadership and management. It's one of the great people, unknown people internationally. And Robert Thurman is, what's her name? What's your daughter's name again? Uma Thurman's father. And he's one of the world's great specialists on Buddhism. and he's written some really incredible stuff about how to deal with it. Now, there's some other people that I'll just go over real fast. This is kind of interesting because this integral economics is based in a tension between efficiency and effectiveness, freedom and fairness, growth and sustainability. And next place, please. This is by somebody's got a site and is doing a lot of work called Catallaxis, a crisis of vision. This is worth looking into his site. I won't go over it now, but he's been working on 3 poles: freedom, efficiency, and growth, in terms of and egalitarian economics, known speaking about fairness, effectiveness, and sustainability. So again, a lot of our work, a lot of our thinking has already been done for us. And the last thing I want to mention as a source for finding out what's happening in the world is the Integral Life, Ken Wilber's blog, or Integral Life is or the Integral Multiplex Integral Institute. This is a good place to start. You'll find lots of new articles about integral economy. People have been working on it for at least 10 years. So it exists there, and it's worth looking into in English. You know the joke about the 2 scientists that were trying to figure out what God's profession was? Remember that? Well, the first guy, he said he was a engineer, and he said, God must be an engineer, because, you know, he had to make and fabricate all this universe. The other guy was a physicist, and he said, no, no, no. God had to create all the energy and the matter of the world, so, you know, he had to create this incredible chaos of mass and energy. Then the third guy came up, and he was an economist, and he said, no, God was an economist. Where do you think all the chaos came from? Thank you very much. This will be on the website. I hope you find it useful.
Bravo Brian, et merci de cette performance, encore une fois de présenter en 10 minutes ce qui se passe dans le monde, mais je pense que cette ouverture est extrêmement importante, et c'est sympa d'avoir un peu d'anglais. Voilà, alors on revient en France.